Hi Year 10s, it is time for another video. This time it is on your introduction and your conclusion. So we've gone through body paragraphs and you know that you need to take a topic and then make 3 different points or 3 different paragraph ideas from it. And we've talked about what goes in those body paragraphs. So hopefully you know about using evidence, you know about analyzing your evidence, embedding your quotes, and choosing some really good, robust events, characters, moments, and quotes in your paragraphs. But today I'm going to be talking to you about your introduction and conclusion. And just to change it up, I picked a different topic, which is this: characters in both texts are motivated by ruthless ambition. Do you agree? And just brainstorming from that topic, I thought about, well, who is motivated by ruthless ambition? And ambition is about being power hungry, but ruthless is to be about being perhaps harmful or win at all costs or dangerous, even evil, I guess. So this is looking at your villains. It's looking at your Macbeth, Lady Macbeth, and Claw and Killmonger, really. And so then I started thinking and challenging this question and going, well, are all characters motivated by ruthless ambition? Maybe we have villains that are motivated by ruthless ambition, but we also have characters who are motivated by doing what's good. So we have heroes, or our protagonist, T'Challa certainly is motivated by doing good, and examples of Macduff, for example, in Shakespeare's Macbeth. You'll find many other characters that you could name if you wanted that were also motivated by doing good. And then I really started to think about it, and I was like, well, are all the villains motivated by ruthless ambition? Killmonger, for example, he's ruthless, but he's actually motivated probably, yes, by ambition, but his ambition is actually driven by a desire for vengeance. And so then I thought, okay, if I'm going to turn this into 3 points, I'll start with my first one, agreeing with the topic that, yes, there are villains or characters in both texts who are motivated by ruthless ambition. Ambition. Then perhaps you might say, however, there are characters who are also motivated by other forces, such as vengeance. And I might be able to find an example of a character motivated by vengeance in both texts too. And then I might do a third challenge the topic point, which will be, in addition, both texts provide examples of heroes who are motivated by justice and doing what is right, some form of that. So that would be my 3 body paragraphs. And so now we're going to go to the structure of your introduction. So if that was going to be my essay and these are my 3 points, then I would need to write an introduction. And I use an acronym to help me remember what's in my introduction. I start with TT, and TT means you introduce the texts and the essay topic. So TT, texts and essay topic. And then we need to do your paragraph ideas. So the things that you're going to talk about in your body paragraph. Paragraph ideas. And then here, I say C, which is your overall contention statement. And if you can do it about views and values, it's even better. So the reason that I've made this is it kind of makes topic, or TGBIC, topic. Maybe it's confusing, but if it works for you, great. If not, think of another acronym that you can use. So we have to start, though, by introducing the texts. So if you have a look at this sample here, which is one that I've written on this topic, it says that it starts off with just one sentence that introduces the text and the topic. So in both Shakespeare's tragic play Macbeth and Ryan Coogler's Oscar-winning film Black Panther, there are characters who are motivated by ambition and a ruthless desire for power. So that basically expresses the topic and the two texts. Note that the names of the text are underlined, which is the convention that we use in our text response essays. Sometimes you may see in examples people they use inverted commas, but certainly the convention that's used in the VCE marking guides is that we underline the names of the text whenever they're used. And that will also help differentiate the name of the text, Macbeth, from the name of the character, Macbeth, when you write about him later in your later in your essay. So then you move on to 2 to 4 sentences, basically your big ideas that you're going to go into. So you look back at your 3 points. So motivated by ambition, motivated by vengeance, and also motivated by justice. They should hopefully be in here. Notice that we also introduce the setting. That helps us to draw in ideas about the historical and cultural context of the places, which is also important. So here we write, in Macbeth, set in 11th century Scotland, Shakespeare presents both Macbeth and Lady Macbeth as examples of characters who are deeply ambitious and willing to harm others on their way to power, which ultimately leads to their downfall. Now, you don't need to mention characters. It's the only place in this introduction that I've done so. You could simply mention presents characters who are deeply ambitious, but in this case, because we've talked about ambitious in the previous sentence, I've added to that by naming the characters, that's all. Then in Black Panther, which is set against the backdrop of the fictional nation of Wakanda, Coogler similarly portrays power-hungry villains who will stop at nothing to gain control. I like to say power, but because I've got power-hungry villains, it would sound a bit odd. So you could name those two, Ulysses Claw and Killmonger, but I haven't. Then we continue. However, it is not only ambition, but also a desire for revenge that can be a primary motivation for characters. Both texts also provide characters who act nobly and justly, standing up against the power-hungry and abusive tyrants who attempt to usurp power from their rightful leaders. You might want to explicitly say both texts also provide characters who are motivated by doing good, but this is another way of saying that. So they're my big ideas from the body paragraphs. They're the kind of my 3-point sentences or topic sentences from my body paragraphs. And then I'm going to finish with TTBIC, contention statement. Now I'm going to try and connect my contention statement to the views and values. So I need to think about what's the views and values of the director about ruthless ambition. So what does Coogler and Shakespeare say about being too ambitious or being ruthless in the way you're ambitious? Are they saying that that's a good idea or that's not a good idea? And I think you'll agree with me that Coogler and Shakespeare are both saying that if you are ruled by ruthless ambition, that you will end up coming to a nasty end that they're not examples that we should be following. So somehow that needs to be in my final sentence. So overall, both texts seek to condemn the use of ruthless ambition to take power, but instead advocate righteous actions and standing up against injustice. So that will link to the paragraph that I can write on examples of characters who act nobly and justly. So I will use perhaps Macduff, or perhaps Ross, or some other characters. I will use them as examples of for Macbeth, and I will use T'Challa or even any of the other Wakandans who stand up against injustice for that one. So there you go. Now, if that totally freaks you out because there's lots of big words in there, then I've written another one which is just a little bit simpler, but is similar in the ideas. So in both Shakespeare's play Macbeth and Ryan Coogler's film Black Panther, there are characters who are motivated by ambition and a ruthless desire for power. In Macbeth, which is set in Scotland in the 11th century, Shakespeare uses the characters of Lady Macbeth, and Macbeth to show how people who are ambitious can hurt others and do many evil things. Similarly, in Black Panther, there are villains such as Ulysses Klaue and Killmonger who are power hungry and harm others as they try to gain power. However, not all characters are motivated by ambition. Both texts also provide examples of heroes who are selfless and try to help others. The texts both suggest that we should admire those who act with honour and condemn those who act out of ruthless ambition. Just another sample for you. This one didn't have the body paragraph idea of revenge, but you could bring that in anyway as you discuss what they are motivated for. Or you could just talk about how they're motivated by ruthless ambition and that hurts others. That could be one paragraph, and they're motivated by ruthless ambition and it leads to their downfall. And then the final one, they're not all motivated by ruthless ambition. Anyway, that's the introduction. Now, conclusion. We're also going to talk about conclusion. I haven't written a sample conclusion for you. That's your job to do. But basically, there's 3 steps in the, only has to be really 3 sections, maybe 3 or 4 sentences in total. You rephrase the essay topic. You give your main paragraph ideas briefly. That can be 2 sentences, maybe 3 if you need. And then finally end on the contention, the views and values statement. So you basically want to have the same ideas, but you have to rephrase them. So it's kind of like an introduction, but like a sandwich. You know how when you have the 2 sides of the bun? So your essay is surrounded by your introduction and your conclusion, and that's like the bun of your whole essay. So they are kind of like mirrors. You have the same 3 ideas in your conclusion. So have a go at one. That's your task. And also choose another topic, not this one, but another topic, and write a sample introduction and conclusion. So there's 3 paragraphs for you to write in this section, 1 conclusion and then 1 introduction and another conclusion for you to write, and then you can get it checked off by your teacher. Okay, all the best with that.